Yo guys, welcome back to my Wildcard Game Week 24 draft. I hope everyone's doing well. Today I want to talk about why you probably shouldn't have wildcarded, and if you did and you're stuck in the same boat as me, why we are totally fucked. But let's get into the goalkeepers at least to start with, and then we can move forward into the defenders, midfielders, and attackers. So to start with the goalies, as you can see, I do have Pickford, Raya, Dubravka, Sanchez, Verbruggen, and Jose Sa from Wolves here on my list. As you can see, I have kind of ranked them depending on their color. I have Jose Sa as actually the one who is performing the best over the past 5 game weeks with only 3.9 conceded goals, 2.3 expected clean sheets. Those both are the highest out of any of these keepers, and I think that these are probably the only keepers that anyone on Wildcard is really looking for or at. I know myself, I am looking at Raya, Pickford, and Jose Sa most, but I think that I might consider Sanchez. I'm still on the fence, but hopefully talking through it, I'll be able to kind of get into why I think that Jose Sa will definitely be my backup goalkeeper over Dubravka. I just think that even though he is playing for Wolves, who have been the worst team in the league by far, I think Dubravka will get save points, but I don't think Burnley will keep a clean sheet for the rest of the season. But yeah, so I think Jose Sa in that form and with the kind of system that they're playing, with the center backs kind of getting forward and being causing a lot of mayhem, I actually think that Jose Sa will see some shots. But the way that they're defending with only 3.9 goals conceded over the past 5 games, that's amazing. I think that is such good numbers that really he deserves a backup spot for at least 4.2 mil. Plus, he might get the double in game week 26, where he will face Nottingham Forest and Arsenal. So definitely good for a bench boost in 26 if you want to go that route, or just to maybe start for a double game week if you don't have Raya in net. Now, my second option is actually the one with the second worst numbers on this list. It is Robert Sanchez. He is only 4.9 mil, 0.9 expected clean sheets over the last 5 game weeks. However, they do face opponents in the next 4 weeks who have struggled to kind of score any kind of goals very freely this season. West Ham, Wolves, and Burnley especially are very lacking in goals. I think Leeds at home actually is still a pretty good fixture because Leeds do kind of cause mayhem and chaos at their own stadium at Ellen Road, but at away, I think that Leeds are kind of a different team and do not perform up to the snuff that they're normal at home. So I think that is a pretty good fixture actually for Chelsea defensively, despite the fact that they do concede a lot of goals actually and don't really expect to get any clean sheets. Robert Sanchez does tend to pick up bonus points because of the amount of saves that he makes. So for only 4.9 million, I think that he is a pretty safe bet, especially if you want to go for a triple up in Chelsea and you're not sure where to go between Enzo, Palmer, Chalobah, Sanchez, João Pedro. I think if you want safe minutes, Sanchez is kind of the way to go, and he should be able to get you, I would say maybe 4 points a game at least, hopefully around 6 or higher. So I'm expecting, over 24 points. That would be amazing. I think that if I do bring him in, that is kind of what my expectations are. And then obviously I will be expecting to play Jose Sa in game week 26. That being said, Verbruggen for only 4.5 mil is the cheapest keeper that I would consider actually starting. And Brighton's numbers actually haven't looked too bad over the past few weeks. 7.3 goals expected goals conceded and 1.3 expected clean sheets. So really, again, you're not really looking for too many clean sheets, but that's not actually a bad number considering the fact that expected clean sheets kind of works in a funny way where, he could have gotten 2 or even 3 on 1.3 expected clean sheets, depending on how clinical the strikers that he's facing. So if you think that Everton are wasteful or Crystal Palace are wasteful, and I know Aston Villa are definitely not wasteful, they do tend to outperform their XGC, but along that line, if you think that the teams that he's facing are kind of wasteful in front of net, then he has actually pretty strong numbers to allow you to budget for only a 4.5 keeper as your starter and save that little bit of extra cash that you might save by going for him over a Pickford or a Raya. Now, as I continue on to Raya, I'm kind of going out of order, but It's kind of the way I want to go. Raya is, I'm kind of in between him and Pickford. If I want to go the expensive route, I think that he will definitely get some clean sheets in the next games. I think that the Arsenal have great fixtures. It is kind of more about, do I want that to be my third Arsenal slot? I think that I already will have Gabriel and Timber, and I'm really considering Rice. So is Raya worth that third slot in the defense and tripling up on the Arsenal defense? And honestly, I don't really think that he is. So despite the fact that he has pretty great numbers for expected clean sheets and goals conceded, I will probably be swerving him as he's just not great value for 5.9 mil. And then finally, I have Pickford. I love Pickford. He's a high-scoring goalkeeper in the league this year. He has 103 points so far this season, 7.8 goals conceded expected, and 1.1 clean sheets expected over the last 5 game weeks. So obviously not the best numbers, but he does get bonus points. He does make saves. Everton do kind of allow people to get shots off, but Pickford is more than a match for it. And sometimes he will even pick up an assist because he's always looking for that long out ball. So I think Pickford is a fun goalkeeper choice. And if you want somebody to actually root for, as opposed to Araya, because who's really rooting for an Arsenal clean sheet at this point? Yeah, I think Pickford is fun. All right, so moving right along into the defenders, I do have kind of an eclectic list here. Obviously, I'm saying this outside of Gabriel and Timber, as I do expect anybody on Wildcard will probably have at least one of them, if not both. So I am kind of removing them from this list, as they should be your priority if you actually believe that Arsenal are going to be as good as they have been defensively over the next portion of the season. Excuse me. Little Magners tonight. So yeah, to start out with, just going from clockwise from Virgil van Dijk, Liverpool have actual great numbers for goals conceded, and then I put goal involvements in there because I think defenders really need to be doing more than just keeping clean sheets. Obviously, there are DEFCON, and most of these guys are pretty good for DEFCON besides Matty Cash and Mateus Nunes. They're kind of more offensive threats. So consider the center backs to be in their own kind of category, and then the 2 right backs to be in their own. I would be choosing kind of along that similar vein, in that I think Van Dijk is a fantastic option, and I actually do want to bring him in for game week 27. But I think as far as right now for this wild card, facing Newcastle and then Man City and then even Sunderland away, he's kind of a swerve for the next 3 weeks, as is the rest of the Liverpool defense, especially with the loss of Frimpong at right back, who apparently is going to be out with an injury for at least a few weeks. Now, with that being said, Virgil van Dijk and Liverpool have kept some really good clean sheet numbers, and Virgil van Dijk is in the goals. He's getting assists in Champions League. He had a hat trick of assists on Wednesday, and he's looking like he wants to actually start playing again. So I'd expect Liverpool to start keeping some more clean sheets than they had been over the beginning of the season, and expect him to be scoring some goals on corner kicks as we move forward into the rest of the season. So yeah, I think Virgil van Dijk is a great option. He is good for DEFCON. He will be getting DEFCON as the rest of the season progresses, as will Trevor Chalobah, Senesi, and my man for Wolves down there. Can't remember his name. But moving to the right, I have Mateus Nunes. I'm a City fan, and I think that Mateus Nunes is pretty electric down the right side. He has really good crossing. He looks to be taking responsibility a lot more recently. And I think City will be actually keeping some clean sheets over the next few weeks with the signing of Guehi. We look a lot more solid. And yeah, I don't think Tottenham will score against us, truly. Fulham, I'm expecting a clean sheet. Even Newcastle, I think, if they kind of are still kind of being weird about how they score goals, I think that Newcastle could be another clean sheet for Mateus Nunes. So I definitely want to bring him in. He's exciting. He gets assists. He gets DEFCON. And he's in a City defense that I think will actually continue to tick over and get some clean sheets over the next few weeks. And I think that he will be a season-long hold for me for the rest of the season. As you would expect on a wild card, anybody who you choose should probably be along that same vein. I would say outside of the Chelsea guys, you really just want to attack these 4 fixtures and then get out because, yeah, they're playing the 4 worst teams in the league, and then they're going to play some tough matches. So that is where my mind is going for Trevor Chalobah if I just skip around to him. Obviously, Chelsea have pretty bad goals conceded numbers, and Trevor Chalobah is not really going to be in the goals. But he is going to get DEFCON, and they are facing these teams that are bad for scoring goals, that are not scoring goals freely. So I think Trevor Chalobah is a good option. He will be getting at minimum 4 pointers for these games. I don't expect any of these teams to score 2 against Chelsea. They definitely might score 1, and West Ham, we'll see what kind of West Ham they face, as well as Wolves. I think that a lot of these teams are kind of in flux, but they're bottom of the table. You kind of know what to expect, despite the fact that they might be improving as the season progresses. So yeah, I think Trevor Chalobah is a good option despite those bad numbers. He will be getting 4 points, and there's a reason why he is the highest scoring, the second highest scoring defender in the league. I can recheck that, but I think that he's up there, at least top 3. And then I'll move on to Matty Cash, another right back. I think that Matty Cash is probably a swerve for me. He is only 4.8 mil though, so if you need value under 5 mil, I think that between him and Senesi, it is a good option either way. I think similar to Virgil van Dijk, he can be kind of swerve for the next 3 weeks, and then you want to bring him in for Leeds and Wolves. Those are 2 great matchups for Aston Villa. I think that I will be planning to bring him on if I do decide to get rid of Trevor Chalobah in game week 27, or after game week 27 rather. And then finally, Senesi I have in the top right corner here, 6.6 goals conceded, 1.1 expected goals involvement, so really high for a defender, especially a center back. Senesi is getting DEFCON, he's getting in the goals, he's expected to keep some clean sheets and not to concede a lot of goals. There's a lot going for the Bournemouth man. The only thing that is going against him is the fact that he might sign for Juventus or even Barcelona. I know that he also is attracting interest from other Premier League teams, so hopefully he stays at Bournemouth and continues to do what he does. I think it's worth taking that risk for only 4.8 million and that last defender slot. I think he should be a staple in any defense in this wild card or in this transferred target window. I think that Senesi, I gave him a star for a reason. He is fantastic. I can't believe I've ignored him for this whole part of the season. The fixtures are great, and I really do think that they will finally start to keep some clean sheets. So Senesi is a must for me. And then finally, Mosquera in the bottom right corner. He's just kind of a bit of a wild man. You don't really know what you're getting from him or from Wolves, but 3.9 expected GC, as I said when we looked over Jose Sa. Wolves are somehow defending really well recently. They aren't keeping clean sheets, and they are actually, people are being very clinical against Wolves. So they have good clean sheet numbers and good goals conceded numbers, but the actual goals that they have conceded is way higher than their expected goals conceded. So there might be something in there about that, but if you want to take a punt on a 4.3 million guy, he's pretty fun. He's fun to watch. He takes shots in the box. The ball comes to his feet. He just freaking rips it. He does whatever the hell he wants. He's exciting. Bring him in if you want to kind of fuck around and have a guy who you think might be fun. He also will double in 26, so nothing really to lose for 4.3 mil. I know there are other options like Hill for Bournemouth or even Harry Maguire for United, or Strauch I was looking at. He's 4.3 mil as well. I think Pascal Strauch is another good option. I did not put him on this list, but he also looks like he's getting DEFCON in the goals. And if you think that Leeds could be kind of turning a new leaf or getting a little bit more defensive stability with the change of goalkeeper from Perry to Darlow, yeah, definitely worth a punt for Strauch as well. And also kind of retroactively, I will say that Darlow for 3.9 million is a starting goalie for Leeds and has kind of helped to shore up the defense a little bit. So keep an eye out for him if you need that extra 0.1 over Dubravka or 0.3 over Jose Sa. He definitely could help stretch the budget. All right, and moving into everyone's favorite section, midfielders, where we all don't know what the fuck to do, and it's all very confusing. As you can see, I am a little lost, and also so is this icon up here. But these are the 6 guys I am choosing outside of Bruno and Enzo, who I do consider to be essential this week. So every draft that I've had has had Bruno and Enzo in it. It is kind of a question of where are the other 3 slots going. And at the moment, I do have Semenyo, I have Mbeumo, and I have Declan Rice. Those are the options I'm going for right now. And I am kind of convinced that they are the best, considering that Mbeumo has just come right in and started scoring goals, and his numbers already in about, I think he's played 138 minutes, where the others are kind of tinkering around 400 minutes. So his numbers are fantastic for expected goals. Obviously, the assists is just, he's only played 2 games in the last 5 weeks, so kind of hard to compare. If you really wanted to look into it, you could prorate it for the per 90 stat, but I think Mbeumo's numbers will blow the others out of the water if you do that. So he's a really good option. Now, I will say Semenyo has the worst numbers on this list, with only 1.1 expected goal involvements over the past 5 game weeks. However, he is on fire. He's in Man City now. He's only played 1 game for Man City, I believe, in the Prem. So a lot of those numbers are from his Bournemouth days, where he was still scoring goals. So I think that Semenyo is going to be a great option, despite the fact that his numbers are a bit low. City have some pretty decent fixtures. They're not the best, but you can, as I said with Mateus Nunes, you can hold him until the end of the season, and he should be all right. Harry Wilson, 1.8 expected goal involvements in the last 5 game weeks. He has overperformed. He's done really well. I had some money in him, and I did end up selling him. It was hard. It was tough. He carried me through the dark times over the past 5-6 weeks, where I lost a lot of rank. He was pretty much the only guy who would return for me, but I think he had to go. I think his time had come. He'd done all he could, so I sent him out to the promised land and brought in Declan Rice, who is the golden boy of the midfield. I think everyone should have him as well. He's outside of Bruno and Enzo, obviously. I think Declan Rice is the guy for me. He's well worth that 3rd Arsenal slot, or even 2nd Arsenal slot if you're not going for 3. 1.9 expected goal involvements in the last 5 game weeks is the 2nd highest outside of Palmer, who somehow has some crazy numbers despite his injury. It might just be his minutes that do affect my decision to bring him in, and also the budget. I think it is hard to fit in Cole Palmer if you are planning on keeping, a lot of high-priced defenders and Haaland in attack. So despite the fact that Cole Palmer has the highest XGI on this list, he's just a minute's risk, especially with all their important games coming up in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup and the Champions League. I think that he also will be playing extra games in the Champions League just because they did not get into the top 8. So I think he is risky, and if you really are chasing points, I would say go for it. There's a lot of upside there. He will be on pens. He will be their main man, but will he only be their main man for 60 minutes? I don't know. So tough call there. And then again, for Mbeumo and Morgan Rogers, kind of in the same boat for me. I was kind of trading places with them. Again, it's about that risk, and I think Mbeumo is a measured risk. He is starting at striker for United. Granted, they were playing City and Arsenal when he scored, so you can take that in 2 ways. You could say, wow, he scores against the best teams. He'll definitely crush those smaller teams like Fulham and West Ham and, Crystal Palace, who've been looking really weak at the back. But on the other hand, will they struggle to break down those teams if they set up a low block? Fulham have actually defended pretty well, but they do concede at least like a goal a game. But otherwise they do defend pretty well, and Anderson will be getting, DEFCON, preventing Mbeumo from scoring as best he can. But I think that he is the option over Morgan Rogers, despite the fact that Rogers has been on fire recently. As I said with Matty Cash, I really think that he will be best to bring in game week 27 or 28 to chase the fixtures that he has after this week. So I will be waiting to bring in Morgan Rogers until then, whether that be for an Mbeumo or a Semenyo or a Rice. Remains to be determined, or even an Enzo, honestly, after those fixtures have passed for Chelsea. All right, yeah, and finally, here we go. We have the forwards outside of Haaland, because this whole video is based on the fact and predicated on the fact that I have Haaland. Otherwise, the budget would be completely different, and who I would be going with would be completely different as well. So, if I didn't have Haaland, I would say I'd have, Bowen, I'd have Evan Nilsson, and I'd have Joao Pedro or something, or I'd have a Watkins if I expected him to be healthy. That kind of would be changing a little bit, but obviously I have Haaland, so my budget is a little bit lower, and all these guys are kind of priced around 7.5 or lower. So let's start with Mane. He will be my third bench slot. I think that he's going to double in 26 when, I say when, but if Arsenal beat Chelsea, and they are expected to, Mane will have the double. I'm expecting myself playing this wild card now. I should try to maximize that bench boost in 26 because that is the benefit of wildcarding now. I can chase that upside of having these guys from Wolves. He's got triple up on Arsenal, a double or triple up on Chelsea. So I think having him as that third bench slot, A, it helps some budget, and B, I can do a bench boost in 26, and he should be getting at least 4 points. So that's pretty good. His numbers haven't looked too bad recently either. He takes shots whenever he can. That might be something that Edwards has kind of coached into Wolves, is just take more shots, take some more risks, and he is kind of capitalizing on that fact. He's not really converting too many of them over the past 2 weeks, but he had scored 2 goals in a row about 4 and 3 weeks ago. So I do expect him to kind of tick along and keep grabbing goals, do whatever the hell he does. I also think that with the loss of Strand Larson to Crystal Palace, that he could be taking a more prominent role in the offense. I know Rokadare probably will be the starting striker, but it could push him forward into kind of a second striker role behind him. So we'll see. I do think that he's promising and not too much to lose from that 4.5 million standpoint. Next up, I have Joao Pedro. Similar to Palmer, he is a minutes risk, but in my opinion, for him, it's worth it. I know Liam Delap will be starting probably one of these next 4 games, so it will kind of be a 30-minute cameo from him, but I think the upside is there. I think it's worth the risk. He is a fantastic player, and he really does play well when he's confident, and he has 2 goals in the last 2 games and an assist, I believe, a 12-pointer and an 8-pointer, so I really do expect him to continue to get in the goals, even if he has slightly reduced minutes. He's healthy, and Chelsea have great fixtures, so yeah, I'd bring him in JP if you're on wildcard. I think it's worth the risk. Now, Evan Nilsson has the highest expected goals actually over the last 5 weeks of anyone on this list. I think that he will continue to be the main striker for Bournemouth. We will see if Ryan can the new signing Ryan that Bournemouth have just signed. We'll see if he takes his spot though, or kind of is helping him to get assists or free him up. So I think there's a lot in the air for Bournemouth right now, especially as we look further down into Krupi. I think Krupi's minutes are under threat from the new signing Ryan, who has been said that he might actually even start on Saturday. So I would swerve Krupi now that they have made that signing. But Evan Nilsson should still have pretty decent minutes and actually very good fixtures. Wolves, West Ham, Sunderland, even Everton are pretty good teams to be going up against. So if you want to bring him in, he is slightly cheaper than Joao Pedro, so I think you could go for him for sure. And then the 2 West Ham guys, Jared Bowen, I wish I could fit him into my team. There's just no way with Haaland and Joao Pedro. I just don't have enough money. But if I could, I would definitely bring him in for Mane instead. He's just goated. He's the beast. He's pretty much all West Ham have at this point, and he plays with a lot of pride. He plays for the badge. I think that he's a very he's a great player. He always is in the goals for West Ham. The only downside is, will there be goals for West Ham? That is the question. So take that with a grain of salt. And then the new signing for them, Tati Castellanos, he seems to just be a bit of a yellow card machine. I checked his numbers for Lazio last season, and this season he just gets yellow cards day in and day out. That being said, he is aggressive. He wants to shoot. He wants to score the goals. He wants to be the main man. He kind of has that main character syndrome. So I think that he could be possibly taking some goals off of Bowen, but I don't think he's really quite worth the risk or the slot. For 5.5 million, it's not too expensive, but for that price, you can get Brobby, who's been starting for Sunderland and been looking really, really good if you have that extra million over Mane. So for me, I would, again, swerve Castellanos. And if you can bring in Bowen, I would do that. But for me, it's Mane, Joao Pedro, and Haaland will be my starting three. All right, guys. Well, I hope you liked that video. I have made some changes already since I made those graphics. As you can see, this is my team going into the game week. I will be falling asleep and waking up, and the deadline will be gone. So this is what I'm hoping for. As you can see, I have Gabriel, Chalobah, and Senesi in defense. As I talked about, I think that they will be machines for points over the next at least 4 weeks. I did make a goalkeeper change that was not on my list. I did bring in Emi Martinez, who I do feel like will at least get save points, if not clean sheets. He's kind of similar to Pickford. He just has missed a few games, actually, which is bringing his total point tally down. So I think that Emi Martinez will get some clean sheets in the next few weeks and will continue to make some saves as we progress into the course of the season. So I think that he will be a good choice. Aston Villa have good fixtures until the rest of the season, so I hope that I can just hold him. And if not, I have Jose Sa on the bench, where I will be obviously doing that bench boost in 26, as long as everything else goes to plan. In the midfield, I have Bruno, Enzo, Semenyo, Rice, and Mbeumo. I think that is pretty template. I think that the Mbeumo slot and the Semenyo slot can be switched around a little bit for, some people want to go a little bit cheaper with a Wilson or a Morgan Rogers. But for me, those are the 5 that I want. I think that they're all goal scorers. They all are going to be on the end or helping to assist the goals. So all of them are shoot first guys. I actually believe that, including Rice, despite the fact that I will be relying on him mostly for DEFCON and for, the corner kick assists. I do think Arsenal will continue to get their set piece goals. But yeah, Mbeumo, Semenyo, Enzo, Bruno, all are shoot first guys. And I all think that they will be in the goals in the next few weeks. And then again, similar process of thought. Haaland and Joao Pedro, both shooters, man. Joao Pedro, as long as he's on the pitch, he will be kind of in and around the goal. I know that he did disappear kind of a little bit at the beginning of the season, but he's been really hot on the past 3 to 4 weeks. Really good in Champions League, really good in the Premier League, pretty good in the FA Cup. And I think that he will just be in the goals, be in the assists, especially if he plays with Palmer. I know that people think that he's competing with Palmer for that number 10 slot, but actually I think that when Palmer is on the pitch, Joao Pedro is kind of freed up to go into the striker role and capitalize on the fact that Palmer's on the pitch and able to get him those assists, as we did see in the Champions League in midweek. And then for Haaland, I just don't think that he's droppable. I kind of would love to be able to drop him and make that decision easy, maybe pick up a Palmer, maybe pick up a Salah even, but I expect him to turn things around. I don't think that he can continue to blank as he did over the past, 10 games. I don't really think that he will allow himself to continue to be on that level. So for me, he is a hold. Just let the man cook. He's going to keep doing it. I know City are kind of getting back into confidence. Games are coming a little bit less often, so he should be rested, and he should be pretty good moving forward. And then my defense is the 2 Wolves guys who I expect to only play on that bench boost in 26. And then Mateus Nunes and Strauch, actually, who I brought in. I think Strauch, if you look at his numbers, he has a lot of 4-pointers from DEFCON and Leeds keep the occasional clean sheet, and he's always on the field. Plus, they have a back 5, so it allows him to kind of get forward and take some shots on from outside the box. So if he has license to do that, I think that he is a great pickup. Sometimes I actually think that he kind of looks like he's a midfielder if you actually watch the games. And then Mateus Nunes, who I talked about a lot before, he should be in the assists. I'm a believer in him. I'm a big fan. It was between him and Guehi for that 3rd Man City slot. I do like to have 3 Man City guys as much as possible. And for me, I think that he is just fun. I want to root for him. And I'm really pleased when he gets an assist or, gets into the box and makes something happen. And I do actually expect him to keep getting some DEFCON occasionally. So he's a good option moving forward. And I'm pretty happy with this team. I have been tinkering all day yesterday. So this is what I ended up with. All I can do is hope and pray that it works out. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate you listening in on this rant. Again, this is my team for the wild card. If you are not on wild card, consider this some of the transfer targets you might want to be looking for in the next few weeks, as I did kind of plan this team to move forward for about four to 5 weeks while I store up some more transfers, moving into that blank game week 31 and blank game week 34, I believe. So I will kind of take those blank game weeks as they come. We will see if I need to free hit one of them and make some transfers for the other. But yeah, I think that this wild card should allow me to capitalize on these good fixture runs for Manchester United, for Chelsea, and for Bournemouth. So hopefully everything works out, and I'll see you again next time.